Do-do-do-do. Hello, my fine people. Let's rock. Da-da-da-da. So, just want to know. Just gonna tagged people. Oh, you can tag friends. You can tag all the people in the group. That's so wonderful. Yes. So today, my friends, we're talking about sensuality, sexuality. Should make like a theme song. That would be really fun. So we're just going to do a quick zip today. I got lots of things to cover elsewhere. Not that y'all aren't important. I love you. So what is the difference? You know, sometimes when I say something sensual, people get all riled up and they're like, ooh, sensual. And they just think it's like a sexual thing. They can be interchangeable in some contexts, but let's actually get down to the nitty-gritty because honestly, I am going to use a term later in the video that people are going to be like, what in the world does that mean? And there is a definitive difference, so it is important that we know this. So we're in the same container and communicating the same things, you know? So if I'm talking about sensuality and you're talking about sexuality and it's like just mixed signals and yes. So sensuality more or less refers to our senses. It's the enjoyment of the senses, okay? So taste, touch, smell, sight, all those beautiful things, right? Whereas sexuality is more of an expression of sexual desire or sexual attraction. And understanding the difference can help you with a lot of different experiences. I hope. Okay, let's see here. Is anyone jumping on? Is anyone here today? Wanted to see. I do reveal comments and reactions. Swipe left. I am. There's nothing there. Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure before, because I really liked the feature that y'all can interact with me better when you're on a phone. Not that you're on the phone, but I'm on the phone. I think I like my camera better here. Anyways, so sensuality is more or less what I'm about. If you look at my human design, my strongest sense is scent. So the senses. I really like to live into how I feel the most sensual is like I have essential oils. So I have a lot of scents and smells and aromas that like bring me back to different times. Different emotions are connected for me to certain scents, which I'm sure would be something happening over there with you as well, where, you know, like I could ask you, what does Christmas smell like? And you probably would say one of your family's favorite dishes at Christmas time because that's the only time you have it. And then your brain correlates that to a special occasion. So stuff like that. So, and you can actually utilize this to invoke emotions in an upward spiral as opposed to a downward spiral. So say you train yourself to equate, for example, in the essential oil world, your citrus oils are always going to be uplifting. So let's say, for instance, maybe it's a grapefruit or there's an orange scent that you really like. And like you smell it and like you just think about happy things, or maybe you're doing something that you really enjoy and you're smelling those things at that point in time. That will invoke a nice sensual way of doing things. Say if you feeling blue, you're not feeling as invigorated of whatever reason, you can walk over, smell whatever the scent is that you chose and incorporate it into your mindset and sensuality, and it will actually uplift you without you needing to do anything. Isn't that cool? I think that's really cool. So just to be, it's like more aware of the things around you, you know, experience it. It's not necessarily in a sexual nature, but also funny enough, a couple weeks ago, I did the erotic blueprint with y'all. I put it in the Facebook group. I may reiterate that again just to like, I may like have like a debate or something about that, or maybe next week. How about next week we do erotic blueprints? So I'm going to do erotic blueprints next week. I'm going to make a note of that before I forget that I said that. And then I go do something else and you're like, what the fuck? So erotic blueprints. Because I really want to get like deep into like how you relate to things, how you function with things. Like that's very important. And this will tack on to this conversation here, which is really cool because my erotic blueprint is a sensual. So it's very fitting that I'm talking about sensuality right now. So basically what being a sensual means is everything is like beautiful and slow and just basking in all your senses and loving every moment of that. So that's really exciting. And now sexuality can be taken two ways, of course. Of course, it can be intertwined with sensuality and they go tandem teen. It's a beautiful thing. But sexuality is like either like your gender or your orientation, like how you denominate yourself, or it's speaking to your sexual desires and like how you attract, which kind of falls into that category too. So like when you're talking about like pansexual or demisexual, like some of those dictate how they are attracted to other people or self. So it's like they need an emotional connection or they need a certain type of connection rather than just like a physical visual thing. So it just depends on who you are, what your upbringing's been, all the things. And there is no right or wrong. One is not better than the other. It's just having these distinctions is important when we're talking about different things in life, especially to other people that have been, they've been brought up in a different world than you. It's a good idea to make sure we're all on the same page. You don't have to agree with how they speak about things, but it's good to know about it, be aware of it. So if it comes up in a conversation, you're not sitting there like trying to prove your point about sensuality, let's say, and then you just kind of misconstrued the whole conversation. I hope that makes sense. So, what I wanted to say was I have this term that I am playing with. It's known as bisensual. Now, I know most people know of bisexual, which is like checking out both sexes, like the females and the males. And the non-binaries, I guess, really. Yeah. So bisensual is what it sounds like. So you're exploring sensuality with both parties. So whether you're male or female, trans, non-binary, all the things, you can still be bisensual. Unless you like get really, really nitty gritty and you're like, I'm trisexual. I've tried all the sexual things. Sensual, I should say. So bisensual basically means I like to explore sensuality with other people other than my partner or the opposite sex. Basically, I enjoy being sensual with women. I'm not technically bisexual because I'm not like overly joyed or attracted to women in a sexual nature. I just think they're freaking divinely beautiful and they need to be worshipped and all the things. But it's not like I get a benefit from pleasing a woman in such a manner. Now being a tantra practitioner is different because I'm coming from a healing nature. And it lights my soul up to see them receiving pleasure, receiving joy, removing any blockages that are happening. So in that regard, like, it is very sensual to me to be able to practice that and be with them in that way. I don't denominate it as a sexual nature because my intention behind it is different than what a sexual curiosity would look like, right? So, anywho, that's pretty much what I have. I just wanted to open the conversation about how you see it, how things are in the in the world of intimacy, there's so many fine lines between these topics, sensuality, sexuality. And also I was having a conversation this week around cuddling. So I'm also a professional cuddler, which is totally separate from the Tantra world. I don't want to say totally separate, but it's not the same thing for sure. It is encompassed under the umbrella of sacred intimacy. Only because I can be very sensual in those sessions, but it is a very platonic setup. Okay, there's no sexual nature, there's no swapping of fluids, there's no intercourse, there's none of that crap. And really, there's no kissing and swapping fluids and intercourse in Tantra anyway, for me. Okay, some Tantrikas do full union, they do have that as a session, as an offering, but for myself, my boundary is no penetration of any sort. So no pegs in orifices, ears, nose, mouth, butt, yoni. I know, it's very interesting. So the whole conversation was around cuddling. What is the setup? What is the automatic expectation of a male when a female suggests cuddling? A lot of times I find, and correct me if I'm wrong, fellas, I really want to hear from you because not everyone's the same and I may be getting false information. I don't know. I just want to know how it is for you. So basically we were talking about sex is on the table when a female offers cuddling to a male. I don't agree with that, especially being a professional in the cuddle world, but maybe I'm not seeing something. Maybe I'm not responsible for the history of cuddling and kind of where down the line did we denominate sex to be inside of cuddling. And again, it's one of those beautiful pairings, like a cheese and wine that you can totally do together. And you benefit from it, but it's they are still separate things. So you can either have cheese or you can have wine or you can have both. But as a whole, it's that's a good question. Do you denominate, when you have wine, do you always have cheese with it? Or vice versa? Probably not. So why is sex and cuddling the same thing? Oh, that's good. When things happen right on the fly and you're just this is amazing. So basically I wanted to open the conversation about the fine line between different things. What do you feel is sensual versus what you feel is sexual? Have you run into anything like this in your own life? I'm very curious because the more we can start talking about these topics, whether this seems mundane to you or not, it is an important part of communication, understanding other people's needs and wants, and really understanding cues. So for example, I had, without getting into too much detail, I had a bit of a traumatic experience on the weekend with a client, and it basically was just a miscommunication, pushing past a boundary, not appropriate, etc., triggered me a little bit just to kind of resort back to my old self, and I had a lot of questions for me, not for the other person, but it was an opportunity. This is the piece, right? This is where we want to be. We want to be able to see a problem or see something that's negative. I don't believe in any of that, but I think things are just neutral and we, in our language and humanity, decide if it's bad or not. Anyways, I digress. Point in saying this is, can you remove yourself from the high emotions that could be involved with a situation, whether it's escalated or not, to really understand why, first of all, you're having that reaction, and two, what perpetuated this potentially ending in a result of not liking it or being triggered. Does that make sense? There was a lot of words in there. So basically what I'm asking is, can you be equanimous? So being equanimous means emotional stability and composure, especially in high stress situations. So can you bring equanimity into your life where, and I'm going to do another friggin' show on that. Okay. Equanimous. I love when I type this word out and no one can actually say it properly. It's very interesting. Anyways, just look. Like, how are you in the moment? Do you react? How are you after the fact? Do you like reflect on like, that didn't really work for me. I don't want to experience that again. And are you able to express yourself? Okay. So these things are really important, especially with this topic of sexuality, sensuality, because we are now understanding there is a difference. There is a fine line. And if we don't articulate the difference for us personally, we can find ourselves in a bit of a predicament of misunderstanding or just having advances that are not welcomed, or just things that, we don't normally talk about because we're like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. And then something happens. It's like, why would we want to do a preventative measure? And this is interesting. I just had a thought around, I know my managing brain is like, you guys are so amazing. You beautiful people, you beautiful bedroom and beyond beings, keeping up with my squirrel brain. But it's interesting, like how we have the medical system. Okay. So I came from the medical system. It's broken as fuck. I'm not saying it's not necessary in dire need situations, but the fact that we spend so much money on big pharma and medication and things when we could be utilizing that money to prevent things and educate people and all this stuff. And that's probably why I'm here today doing this here with you. So same thing. Why not have a preventative measure, or what I like to call a battle plan, for things that could go awry? Not as an expectation that they will, but as a, if this happens, I'll be safe because I have a plan in motion. Cool? Okay, that's all I got. I keep saying that, but I'm actually going to go now before this is like 20 hours long. I love you muchly. I hope you understand the differences or curious about the differences so you can start doing your own research. And please vote, please comment, please do anything that is going to have us share as a community. I would not be here without any of you, so I appreciate you and love you very much. We'll see you later.